Mad Mac has to say about Gary. Mad Mac, what's going on?
How you doing?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Depends on what neighborhood you're in.
Yes, it does. Right now it does.
You bet it does. So let's go back to Chicago when 4 months ago the little baby got shot, right, in his dad's arm while he was changing the diaper. Do you remember that story?
Yes, I do.
Well, then you may be remembering a part of it wrong, because the first thing the press did was run up and down going, a young father changing his baby's diaper was shot, blah, blah, blah. No witnesses, right? Well, lo and behold, it turned out that the man was using the baby as a human shield. He had a rap sheet longer than a Ford Lincoln Continental, and one of his own gang members was shooting at him, right? And it turned out his family witnessed it, and they knew who shot him. Nobody has come to say who did it yet, right? So all this crap about bringing in more cops, it hasn't worked in L.A., hasn't worked in Gary, hasn't worked in Oakland, hasn't worked in the south side of Chicago. So here's what you do. You say, starting January, or what was it, we're in July. So let's say July 20th. Here's the deal, folks, with Gary and the south side. We're taking all cops out. No cops. You call us when the body's there, we'll come pick it up. Unless you people come up with names and addresses of the perpetrators of the crimes you're calling in for, we're not even going to bother. They know, we know, everybody knows, they know who is shooting who. So when they start coming up with they had breakfast with them the day when they go out and shoot somebody at night. They all know who's doing the shooting. There's no two ways about it. So you take the cops out and you just go, look, someone gets killed, you call us with the name and phone number. Tell us where they live. Tell us what they have for breakfast, because we know you know.
So the police are deliberately, the police in Gary and Chicago are just deliberately not doing their job. Why?
No, the police in Gary and Chicago are doing the best they can, but they get zero cooperation from the people.
Okay, and then
somebody knows and made that crystal clear.
Somebody, all right. So here's the comment from Wade Ingram. We know most of these shootings seem to be retaliatory in nature. Now, he's the chief of police in Gary. That's what we're trying to stop before it escalates. Retaliatory in nature. So if you are a person in Gary who may know who shot someone else, and that was retaliation for something else, you think you're going to come forward? I mean, say you got a couple kids. Well, I think it might be this guy. You're going to tell the cops that? Especially if there might be a way that the guy who shot him might know it was you? I mean, you know, the string of tragedy continues, because tell me that if you're thinking that you and your family may be in danger if you give someone up, then can you blame people for being quiet? I mean,
how would they know who gave them up?
Well, I mean, there's ways. If only a few people know who it was, then it's like, hey, man, I know you gave me up. Pow, you're done. People don't want to get involved because everybody's shooting everybody. I mean, you can't just blame for. And I hear a bunch of in here. Oh, you guys got to come forward, and you know we're not getting any cooperation out of the people in Gary. You know, sometimes on these murders, they know who did it. No one wants to say. Of course, they don't want to say. They don't want their kids shot. I mean, it's not the people of Gary not giving up people. That's not the only problem here.
If everybody starts giving them up, you don't even have to wait till a crime is committed. You don't think the people over there know who's dealing the drugs?
Okay,
you don't actually believe that, do you?
You know what? There is a lot of intelligence that goes around in a community such as Gary or even Hammond or East Chicago about where you can buy drugs. And cops find out, and then they do what they need to do to make the buys and so forth. But to blame this problem on people of Gary not stepping up and tattling on the guy who killed the other guy is I think just ignoring a lot of the entire problem in Gary. Did you see what Karen Freeman Wilson said? She said she wants to fight this with what did she say? Fight this with jobs and education, basically.
Oh my God!
I mean, that's taking a long view of it, and you and I are both like, well, you know what? We kind of need to get people stop shooting each other right now. And
hey, her idea is gonna work. Don't worry. Yeah, don't call in then. Don't worry about it. Worry about trying to get somebody a job or something while they can't even get to the job. That's all that crazy liberal stuff that you think is going to sugarcoat a road full of potholes. You're dreaming. They've been trying to do that forever. It doesn't work. They need to start turning each other in mass, because this other stuff, all this crazy, goofy stuff they keep on yapping about, and these nice speeches they make, didn't you just have a big photo show with little Rahm No Fingers Emmanuel from Chicago? We're stopping crime. We got the gangs thing. And what happened in the last 5 weeks, right? The most dangerous city in the world was Chicago, without exception, except for Egypt. Thank God Egypt slaughtered 50 people in the town square. Chicago would have been number one. They just had a big picture. They took the pictures and had them on the front of the paper.
All right, hold on a second. Here's what Freeman Wilson said. It isn't the only approach we're taking. Quite frankly, we could double the number of officers on the street, and the killing could continue. You have to look at what's happening in the schools, in the job force, in terms of unemployment. Now, what is that? Just liberal doodaddy stuff, or what? I mean, does that not go into this picture? That unemployment in Gary is what I got to believe it's close to 50% in some areas. I mean, that's not part of it.
Shooting people of Gary. Now, when they decide to either stop shooting each other or start turning in the bad people, things will change. Now, those two things have not changed.
Yeah, but the question is, in a larger sense, I mean, what societal conditions are there out there that people are going to stop shooting each other in Gary or in Chicago? You know what I'm saying? I mean, there is that other side that there's not jobs. There's
that's a good excuse. What's the next excuse?
No, there's poor education. These aren't just excuses. These are factors that go into this problem. I agree with you that
how many people got shot in Highland this last weekend? How many people got shot in Munster?
Okay,
what
is that? Where are you going with that?
Stop shooting your fellow man. Just stop doing it. There's no bag of weed that's worth killing somebody. But that's not the same thing. They think differently over there.